In the last video, we've made a little change to our code to make sure that we attempt to refetch a link after it has been fetched, either successfully or with an error. Now at this point, we are left with this for loop right here that seems to just run on forever. Now you and I know that the for loop is not going to be spinning its wheels like a billion times per second. It will still be running very quickly, but every single time we wait for a message to be received right here, we will get that slight little pause until the next request has actually been completed. So even though it looks like this for loop right here is going to be running through this single line of code a billion times per second, it's not actually that quick. Now, there is one little issue with this for loop, however, and I would say that this is entirely a stylistic concern. So we're going to make a little change to this thing, and it's solely because of the style of code that we're looking at right here. So you can kind of imagine very easily that if we had a lot of other logic inside this for loop right here, it might be really challenging for some other engineer to come and look at this code and have a clear understanding of exactly what this for loop is doing. And by that, I mean that it would be kind of challenging for another engineer to hunt down that single little piece of code right here that says, hey, we are going to wait for a value to be received on this channel. So because it's kind of challenging for another engineer to walk on the scene here, see this for loop and kind of hunt down this blocking statement right here, Go offers a slightly alternative syntax for writing a very similar loop. So we're going to write out the alternative syntax and we'll talk about exactly what's happening. So inside the for loop declaration right up here, we're going to change this to say L : range C. And then rather than putting this arrow C inside of here, we're going to replace it with L. L being short for link. Now, that's the entire refactor right there. This code that we're looking at right now is completely equivalent to what we just had on the screen 2 seconds ago. So we've seen the range syntax before many times, and we've always seen range being used to iterate over like a slice of elements. We had said that when we use the range keyword on a slice, we take every element out of the slice, assign it to some variable, and then we get access to that inside of the for loop. And so using a range with a channel works very similarly. With this code right here, we are saying wait for the channel to return some value. After the channel has returned some value, assign it to this variable L. L in this case being short for link. Then run the body of the for loop. And inside the for loop, we immediately spawn a new Go routine calling check link, passing in the link that we just received in the channel, and then passing in the channel as the second argument. So this, again, is entirely equivalent to the syntax we just had, but it's a lot more clear for other people who are kind of walking on the scene or taking a glance at your code. Much easier for them to figure out exactly what this for loop's purpose is. So it's a lot easier for them to look at this and say, okay, I understand we are going to step over the for loop, or we're going to run through the for loop every single time that the channel emits some value. So let's save this file and run it again just to make sure that the code we have now is entirely equivalent. So back at our terminal, we'll run go run main go again, and we still get this big ol' spam of all these different messages. Now, like I had said at the end of the last video, it's probably not entirely appropriate to be spamming these different websites over and over again as fast as possible. So I still want to add in one additional feature here, and I want to say that we should have some little brief pause between every fetch attempt. So let's take a quick break, come back, and we're going to figure out how we're going to modify our code to integrate that little pause between each check link call. Okay, so quick break, and I'll see you in just 1 minute.